What is good? What is up? It's Jordan, Texans Thoughts, and we're back with another episode. Today, we're breaking down the Texans' first round picks in the 2022 NFL Draft. I'll talk about why I'm happy with our selections, what expectations should be for these rookies, and preview a few targets for the top of the second round, which is our next pick. If you guys enjoy, hit the like button, subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Alrighty, let's get right into it. So at third overall, the Texans selected Derek Stingley, the cornerback out of LSU. And I was surprised because, there was a ton of smoke that the Texans really liked Stingley in the last few days before the draft. There was so much rumored interest that, I honestly thought it was a smokescreen by Nick Caserio. I really didn't think he was going to show his cards like this, but I don't know. My best guess is that he was so confident in the Jags taking Travon Walker first and the Lions taking Aiden Hutchinson second. So he just didn't really care if the world knew he loved Stingley because he was going to be available at 3 and he was going to take him. So my initial reaction was really pure shock. But analyzing, who Stingley is as a player, it gets you really excited. First off, he is a swing for the fences type of pick. Very high ceiling cornerback due to his athletic gifts, running a 4.44 40 and jumping 38.5 inches in the vertical jump, for example. So the athleticism is enticing, and the ball skills that Stingley possesses, man, he looks like a wide receiver out there. Then you factor in, the fact that he's still only 20 years old, and at 18 years old, he was dominating SEC wide receivers who would go on to play in the NFL. So for such a young prospect to have shown such a high level of performance, he had 6 interceptions and 15 PBUs as a true freshman. You really have to believe that the ceiling on Stingley is, a perennial Pro Bowler with some all-pro appearances too. So there's a lot to like with Stingley, but no player is perfect. And I want to bring up some of the concerns I've had on Stingley and why he was my cornerback 3 this year. First and foremost, is Stingley's decline in play during the 2020 and 2021 seasons. He missed a few games in 2020 due to an ankle injury, and in 7 games he had 0 interceptions and 0 pass breakups. The production was just not good. His play on the field was just not the same as his freshman season. And that continued in 2021, where he missed even more time, only playing 3 games due to a Lisfranc injury. Now, this can be a pretty serious injury that can take up to 2 years for athletes to fully recover from and get back to 100%. So because of that injury, and because of the degree of difficulty, it already takes for rookie cornerbacks to transition to the NFL, I wouldn't be surprised if Stingley takes a little bit to get comfortable and, show his full potential. And that's okay, as long as we temper our expectations, and don't expect him to be putting up defensive player of the year, defensive rookie of the year type numbers right away. It's very rare for a cornerback. So that being said, I still think we're getting a very good future starter who can be a true cornerback 1 that locks down wide receiver 1s of all types of sizes and athletic profiles with our addition of Derek Stingley. So overall, while I think, Sauce Gardner maybe would have been a safer pick at cornerback, Stingley's upside is just through the roof and gives Nick Caserio, his next J.C. Jackson or Stephon Gilmore to be the face of the defense. Now moving on to our second first rounder, and, it happened like most thought. Caserio traded down from 13. The Texans gained the 15th overall pick, a 4th rounder, and 2 5th rounders for that 13th overall pick that they gave up. And according to Over the Cap, they kind of graded the trade and how much each pick is worth. And using their model, the picks that the Texans gained was worth 3,016 points compared to the pick that we gave away, the 13th pick, being worth just 1,700 points. So I definitely think looking purely at the draft picks involved, that was a dub of a trade. To gain 3 extra picks for moving down just 2 spots, I'll take that all day, for sure. Furthermore, I strongly believe the Texans took the player at 15 that they would have happily taken at 13. So by selecting Kenyan Green, the offensive lineman out of Texas A&M, we've added a mauling run blocker who, like Stingley, is just 20 years old and has high upside. Would I like to just stay at 13 and take Kyle Hamilton? Man, you guys know I would, but that's a rant for another day. Today, we're focusing on Kenyan Green. And while I do think he was a bit of a reach, because I did have a second round pick grade on him, I don't think he would have actually made it to the 37th overall pick, which was our next selection. In the rest of the first round, there were 4 other interior offensive linemen who got drafted after Kenyan Green. So there was clearly a high demand for the position, and the Texans needed to secure their guy earlier than just most predicted. Overall, I like the Green pick and think it may not be perfect value, but years from now, we'll forget all about this quote-unquote reach. Knock on wood. Green, he's a great complement to Laramie Tunsil and Titus Howard, who should and must stick at tackle, with Green slotting in best at guard. I think he plugs our biggest hole on offense and can start at left guard basically from day one, and more on that in a little bit. As for Green's skill set, on the field, what does he bring? What are his strengths? He's a physically imposing run blocker, which fits exactly what Pep Hamilton wants to do on offense in his scheme. He's really just a powerhouse of a human, the large human being at 6'3", 323 pounds. And I'm excited to watch him pancake some defenders in the run game. Our O-line is in desperate need of some of that mauling mentality and that bully ball. So now, as we did with Stingley, I want to discuss some of Green's weaknesses to paint the full picture on who he is as a prospect. Green is a bit of a lower floor, high ceiling player because, speaking to that low floor, he is pretty inconsistent in what he showed in his college tape, inconsistent with his technique and his effort. When his pads are low, his hands are well placed, and he's giving 110% effort, the dude has moments where he looks like Quentin Nelson, just paving lanes on the ground and being a solid pass protector too. His highs, man, they are high. They're absolutely high. But his lows are also, pretty low and ugly at some times. His raw technique could definitely lead to some early ugly moments as a rookie. Now, that being said, I think he still should start early on in his career, pretty much day one, because I think you want to give him as many reps as possible to play through and learn through, his mistakes. So as far as expectations go for Green as a rookie, I think he might have some ugly moments, especially in pass protection. But by mid-season to maybe the last third of the season, I think we're going to be really getting like an average to above average starter there at guard. And that's exactly what we need. So throughout his career after that, I think, he'll probably be in contention for some Pro Bowlers. But I think, it'll really come down to the offensive line coach and how much they can coach him up to see if he can really attain those Pro Bowl achievements. So overall, I'm optimistic about the potential of both of these players. Even if they may have some rough, like welcome to the NFL moments as rookies, I would still grade the Stingley pick as an A and the Green pick as a, B+. Now, the Texans are not done after the first round and still have 11 more picks to be made. Their next most impactful pick at the top of the second round at 37th overall. And I think there are, 5 players I'll highlight today that I would love us to add. And I think edge right now is our biggest need. And it actually aligns really well with how the board has fallen. First up, David Ojabo out of Michigan. I think he would be another swing for the fences type of pick who, he'll likely have to rehab from his Achilles injury and miss his entire rookie season. But the upside on Ojabo, man, it's through the roof, and it has like pretty much a double-digit sack guy per year. So another edge guy I would like to target and absolutely love to draft as a Texan would be Arnold Ebiketie, and he's someone who will play as a rookie. So Ebiketie out of Penn State, he reminds me of Jonathan Grenard in the way that he is a very refined pass rusher in terms of his technique. He's smart. He's got a strong motor. to get after the football, but then I think he's a little bit more athletic than John Grenard. So having two of those types of players, man, across from each other, it's going to be a great, great match. Hopefully that can be one of our picks at 37. After those edges, I love Georgia linebacker Nakobe Dean. He's my 6th overall player in the class, and I just think would be an absolute steal at 37. I think another interesting scenario would be adding another elite cornerback in Andrew Booth, who I actually have rated higher than Stingley. So while cornerback, it's not our biggest need right now after adding Stingley, signing Steven Nelson, we got Desmond King, Lonnie Johnson and all that. We got a lot of bodies there now. I still think Booth's talent would just be too much to pass up, in my opinion, at the top of the second round. And then lastly, this will be an interesting one, but I think the Texans will need to have a serious conversation about Malik Willis if he's still there at 37. This is a guy who many believe has the highest ceiling of any quarterback in this class. He's a special rusher who would add a new element to the Texans' run game. And furthermore, he doesn't really even have to play as a rookie. I don't think there doesn't need to be too much of a competition and pressure on Mills there. I think we can still give Davis Mills the 2022 season to further prove himself, while Malik Willis, develops and learns from Pep Hamilton, just like Mills did. I mean, if Pep can turn water into wine like he did with Mills, he's going to do special things with Malik Willis. I just think it's a conversation, you got to have if you are Nick Caserio and the Texans. But all right, guys, that's going to do it for the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed and had a fun round one on day one of the NFL draft. Feel free to follow me on Twitter if you haven't already at Texans_thoughts for, more updates on the draft and really my unfiltered thoughts and emotions. I'm sure day two will have me just as riled up as day one did. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Take care, everyone. And remember, the film don't lie.